Next, Dr. Frye, a Harvard-trained child neurologist with expertise in neurodevelopmental and neurometabolic disorders. He received an MD and PhD in Physiology and Biophysics from Georgetown University. Dr. Frye is a national leader in autism spectrum disorder research, particularly metabolic disorders, and has authored over 300 publications. Welcome, Dr. Frye.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. I'm so honored to be up here to talk to such an incredible group. It's so great to see that we're making a turn for the better. You know, I started on this journey about 20 years ago as an unassuming child neurologist. I had parents come to me. It's when autism was being more and more recognized, and you know, the parents would say, well, my child just got diagnosed with autism. They don't know what causes it. They don't really know what to do about it. So you're a brain doctor. Maybe you could figure it out. And I took it as a challenge. I found that, you know, as a neurologist, I could look at EEGs and find some seizure disorders. Then I discovered that some of these children had signs of mitochondrial disorders, something that I had been interested in before, so I knew how to diagnose that. And then I stumbled upon cerebral folate deficiency. And you know, the incredible thing is, as you go one by one and you start adding this up, you know, everybody would tell me, oh, that's just one case. That's just one case there. That's just one case. Well, even if it is, it adds up to real kiddos, and that you can really make a difference with. I was in academia most of the time, and my really career grew because I knew something about autism. So to every academic center I went to, they said, wow, you know something about these kids? I'll give you all mine, because I got a clinic full of them. I don't know what to do with them. We were lucky to actually follow the path of actually measuring these biological functions of their body, finding that there's mitochondrial issues, folate issues, and being able to figure out how to treat them. And of course, some of the work that worked out so well was this treatment with leucovorin, which has now finally been recognized, you know, by the president and by the administration, which I think is absolutely great. I've been trying to do this for 20 years, and people have been resistant because they would say, well, it's kind of crazy to think a vitamin can really cure autism, don't you think? And everywhere I went, I had resistance, upwinds, to really going uphill to try and show this. But, you know, we were able to do, you know, several well-done clinical studies, which were repeated by other, you know, researchers around the world to show that, you know, it's not just this treatment, but I think the important thing is it shows that autism can be treated, that it's not just a disease that you have to do nothing about and just some behavioral therapy, that some of these therapies, that whether you believe them or not, you know, they actually do work, you know, and, you know, it's this, this narrative that I think it's not that people don't want to believe things, is that they don't look deep enough. And, you know, there's so many people that make the assumption, one, autism is genetic because it's highly heritable, and you can't fix genetic diseases. And both of those are incorrect. You know, I like to ask my pediatric colleagues when they watch my genetic colleague give a presentation if they've drank in the Kool-Aid. Because the geneticist starts out by saying, you know, we know that autism is genetic because it's highly heritable. And at the end, they say, you know, we found this gene by whole exome sequencing, and we know it's the gene because it's de novo, it's not inherited. So if you can drink that Kool-Aid, I don't know how they can rationalize it in their minds. But, you know, but it is a strange phenomenon. You know, I do a lot of work on genetics because it's important. And I had a recent presentation at MAPS with my colleague, Dr. Bowles, on a paper we wrote, and he went up there and he said, and he's a neurogeneticist, he said, I'm going to tell you, all of autism is genetic. It's just all de novo genetic. So I had to do part of it, so I went up there and I said, I just want to clarify, you know, Dr. Bowles' statements that autism is all genetic, but it's all environmental, because those de novo mutations have to come from somewhere. You know, and I think this is a kind of new concept, and we don't have the framework, and a lot of, you know, the old guard just don't have the framework to understand this. And then we know that, you know, as we learn more and more about genetics, like Dr. Bowles, my colleague, I love him because he's a geneticist, but he says, well, let's figure out what the gene does, where it's broken, and how we can fix that pathway. So it's treatable. You know, we can figure out how to treat it. This is something that we can do. I know. So, you know, I've been trying to, you know, spread the word for a long time. I'm just glad that, you know, more people are understanding this, and I think we're making a turn here. You know, we've developed the Autism Discovery and Treatment Foundation when I left academia to try and figure out some of these issues. Along with John and others, we've developed the Autism Discovery Coalition, which is a group of scientists that believe in this new way of looking at autism and moving towards treatment and solutions. And we have a little pamphlet that talks about our 6 programs we've picked that are things that are just ready to go, and with a little bit of effort and money can be supercharged to help kids with autism. And one of them is leucovorin, which I guess the administration has taken off our plate. But there's other things like this, and we really have to promote these things that aren't too hard to do and are very effective, like spell to communicate and such, that can really advance our kids. So thank you, everybody, for, you know, coming and your efforts and your excitement about it.